Okay, so the recap from the guild meeting, guys, is that 30-man raids with 4 different raid leaders. And I think that they're going to limit the number of like shamans that you could take per raid, like 4 shamans per raid. My guess is that you'll probably, in a 30-man raid, you kind of need to be on your shit. It's a little bit tougher than a 40-man, and your group comp matters more. So why don't we actually draft a 30-man raid comp really quickly to see what would be the best comp for 30-man and probably see what we could expect. Wowhead, raid comp, classic. Wow. Okay, so how I imagine that this raid comp will go in a 30-man is that you would immediately draft 4 resto shamans as your first pick and maybe 1 resto druid, but you probably don't even need a resto druid actually, because all the druids do like 1 feral tank off tank, and then you would draft your 2 tanks, and you'd want your 2 tanks to be at least one of them to be able to tank, you know, Ragnaros, like level tank. You'd want a very geared tank that could do that. You'd have 1 marksman hunter here, 1 marksman hunter here. You'd have 5 tanks total, 1 feral and 2 prots. And then from here, you would need your healers. You'd probably bring like 9 healers, I'm guessing. You already have 3. And then maybe if you wanted, you could bring 1 resto druid if you had the slot for it. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 healers. Would you guys go 8 or 9 healers? At least 2 mages for sheeps, at least 2 warlocks, probably 4 melee groups still. You do like a rogue and a fury warrior in each of these. I think you'll probably have to take some hunters because we have a lot of hunters in the guild. You might have to take 4 hunters still, and then you just fill the rest with either fury or rogue. If we have way more mages, you take 4 mages and 2 warlocks, just depending on what the mages do. But that's it. This is an 8 healer comp. You might do 9 healers, just depending. You could go 3 mages. Yeah, I mean, you could do like that. I think this is what the comp is looking like for a 30-man raid here. So this is what I'm thinking, guys. For a solid raid, you'd have 1, 2, 3 main tanks with 2 people who can flex tank. These are actually just fury tanks. You throw 4 marksman hunters in there and 4 resto druids. I don't know if we have this many melee for every raid though, which is a little scary. 12 melee per raid. I don't know if we have that many melees in the guild. I can see there's a high chance that we have to drop, like there's a very high chance that we have to do something like this, but you'd obviously put a fury in here for the buff. Some shamans are enhancement. That's also an issue if any shamans are enhancement, because then you have to bring another healer. But I'm thinking that this is a fair distribution for everyone that we have in our guild. Let me look really quickly. This is a lot more people than I thought we had, but we only have 15 shaman. So maybe 1 person will have an alt that they can bring. Yeah, so I think you take 4 hunters per raid. The mage issue is tough. We just have so many mages, and I don't think that, you know, you have to necessarily pick perfect groups for the buffs and everything, but if you were tryharding, I mean, this is probably what I would do. If you want to be safer, you drop a hunter maybe, and you drop these, and you probably just bring 4 mages, and like if you want to just be really safe, you bring 4 mages and you bring 4 banishes. And this will help with the distribution of the guild a bit. And if you take a resto druid, then you don't need a feral. You probably just bring 1 druid now for damage wise. You don't, I mean, the feral druid in the main group is good, but you could sub this healer for something else. This is a 9 healer comp, but you could easily do 8. You could do 8 healers, drop the resto druid. I think you could probably clear the raid with this as long as your melees are pumpers. 6 melee DPS and then a hybrid feral. I think you could clear the raid with this no problem. Be a little bit sketchier without the other 10 people, but it definitely makes the raid more fun, more chaotic, higher chance of things going wrong, especially if those 30 people in your raid, the extra 10 people are not gamers, you know, like if you're taking Alando, Bobka, Madness, you know, all these heavy hitters like simply into the raid, they're doing the damage of 2 people. So you really want your melees to be as stacked as possible. I think this puts good competition into the raid, into like the draft, because it actually makes you want to draft the best raid possible, puts enough risk on you to where you're not just like drafting content picks as much anymore. You're actually drafting a comp, and it makes it feel more like World of Warcraft again, because you're kind of scared now. Like you're actually kind of scared when you're going into raid. Like people need to lock in and listen to the raid leader and actually play the game, and the viewers are watching because like this is not 30 sweats in raid. It's 30 people, but they're not sweats. So it actually makes the content good. I like this idea. I wish I was raid leading, because I love to raid lead like this when there's a challenge like that. It's super fun. They should open the auction house to sell only. Soda Poppin said that he's trying to work on that, so I'm looking forward to that. It'll definitely be it makes makes everything more interesting. It makes the drafts more interesting, puts pressure on the raid leaders to draft good players. So now all the sweats will get taken first. I'm guessing that the shamans and the tanks, I'm guessing you want to draft your tank first at this point. You want 2 good tanks. You know, obviously like people like Ompi are going to get picked first, Soda pop in. But I mean, people, I don't know how Mary is good. I don't know if Mary will get picked or not. She has the best gear, but she wasn't able to hold threat a lot of times. And so I'm curious to see if people will draft Mary or not as tank in a 30-man raid. Tanks with fire res is probably the biggest deal. Like I have a ton of fire res. I tanked Rag last week with no fire res buff from Ubers and only previs gear. But I have a really good fire res set. I have the fire res helmet with the enchant on it, and that's like 35 fire res right there. I also have a Nixia necklace. Yeah, so I'm very excited about the 430-man raids is super content. It's good. It's good. And then Soda did take my idea today about all BOEs from the raid would go to like a tribute chest, and we would have some kind of competition or whatever to give out the BOEs. I don't know how that's going to work. He'd probably have to figure that out because we're not doing race points anymore. So I think, what if it was raid points and your raid or something got points based on number of people how fast you guys ran it and number of people that died. So is there a way to make a point system for the raid leaders? Okay, so at the end of the week, the 4 raid leaders get to tribute chest done by the 4 raid leaders. Earn points for the fastest raid. Lose points for deaths. All BOEs from raid plus donated raid consumes go to tribute chests. You earn points for having the fastest raid. You lose points for deaths. Maybe you start everybody with like 1,000 points. Minus 50 points for death. Everyone starts at 1,000 points. Okay, so imagine it's you and 4 of the people. You all start at 1,000 points. First place gets 500 points. Second place 400. Third place 300. Fourth place, or it could just be 0. You just do 100, 200, 300. So you basically do tribute chest. Everybody starts at 1,000 points. And then is there any other way that you could earn points in your raid leaders could earn points in their raid besides fastest clears will earn points? Logs, something with the logs. I mean, it's essentially just kind of like a race, and then if you earn the most points, then you get the most points for the tribute chests where they're giving out items. Fastest boss kill, points for each boss. Fastest boss kill is nice. Fastest boss kill, 50 points per boss. That's amazing. We should bring this to Soda and see what he thinks about it. And then he'll have to figure out what else he can throw into the tribute chest. So it's kind of a mock race. It's a mock race where you can check the speed of everything at the end. You can check the speed of the boss clears. Fastest boss kills, 50 points per boss. And so people will always tune in and be like, oh, whose raid is going the fastest? You know, who's going to win first place for fastest clear? You're checking all the logs to see who had the fastest kill for every boss. It's pretty cool. I like this idea. And the point of it is you're trying to get points for the tribute chest. Minus 50 points for each death. Or should it be a bigger penalty for deaths? The point system is important here. Minus 100 points for each death. Make it bigger. Okay. Here, the only issue I have with this idea is like, okay, it's 4 raid leaders, 120 people. The average amount of BOEs that drops in a run is like 5 BOEs, maybe 3 to 5 BOEs. So you'd be competing for 12 items, and some of those items wouldn't even be for anybody in the raid. So you would need to fill tribute chests with other things like raid consumables to keep it interesting. And it's like, okay, if the raid leader wins like 100 fire waters or something like that, who are they going to give it to? Do they just split it out between their raid? I mean, I think it's good. I think that this is a pretty good script right here, though.